Good morning, everybody. It's Positive Tuesday today, April 16th, 2024. Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald is off fighting crime, so our good friend Adam Jarchow is joining us this morning. But first, for Dryden.com, I'm Ben Dryden, and you are watching The Big Show, Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With 20 years of experience, his locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the inside and on the outside of your home or business. Give them a call today, see what they can do for you. The number's right there on the screen, 715-520-2271. Adam, good morning.
Morning. How are you?
Fantastic.
Good.
Because Fitzy and I have gotten pretty good at not getting into too much trouble, but sometimes it's fun to get in a little bit of trouble. So I'm like, who could we have on? I know. Adam Jarchow.
I read on Facebook that people were mocking Fitzy that he's probably golfing. He's not actually fighting crime. He's just golfing.
Yeah. Well, I've seen him play golf. It's not a good look. It's not a good look.
Fitzy.
No.
Long and straight, buddy.
So it has been a minute since you've been on. There's something I only wrote down one thing. Jarchow Mafia. So we'll be talking about that. Because apparently that's a thing now. So
apparently.
I can't wait to hear about it. Good morning, Dirk. And good morning, Mike Schaefer. Oh, I just saw Mike this last Saturday. Thank you, everyone, for joining. If anyone has any questions for our guest, Adam, please let us know. Put them in the comments. Yeah, so how's Barbara? How are the kids?
Everybody's doing good, man. The kids are growing like weeds. It's in the nice weather. We've been out in the field practicing, hitting baseballs, and kids are looking forward to doing baseball and softball again this summer and getting done with their 5th grade year. I feel like it was just every parent says this, but it's true, man. I feel like it was just yesterday that they started 4K and they're finishing 5th grade. It's just crazy how fast it goes.
5th grade. So how does it work over where you are in terms of when do they go into middle school, like the actual building?
At Unity where they go, it's all the same. They're in the same building, except for they're kind of segregated in the building by high school, elementary school, and middle school. So they've moved into middle school, but It's all one big campus at Unity. Sure.
Hey, speaking of kids, I have a quick question for you. I brought this up with Fitzy a few weeks ago, and it was clear he wanted no part of this conversation. Just kind of wanted to move it along. So like last night, Kenneth was at a track meet in Ashland for the Spooner School District, and they got back like 11:15. So pick them up 11:15, which it's fine. It's sports. Obviously, we're in a geographically challenging area where some of these are going to be. You have to drive quite a ways away. It's fine. But Kenneth keeps asking me, but why can't, and now he's 14, and he has a job, and he can work 4 to 7. He's like, why can't I work till 8? I'm like, child labor laws, buddy. He's like, but why? I'm like, I don't know. I don't understand either, but there's rules for this, and probably in your best interest, I guess. Why can't he work till 8? I need an answer so I can tell him, because I'm starting to look like, Dad's just supposed to have the answers. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You can stay out until 11:30 for the school function, but you can't work past 7. Why?
Ultimately, everything comes back to politics, right? So let's just say that our good friend, Romaine Quinn, said, you're right, Ben. He should be able to work till 8. I'm going to do a bill that says he should work till 8. Guess what they would say about Romaine Quinn? He's pro-child labor. Just like they did about Chance when he said, oh, by the way, we don't have enough employees at our bars and restaurants, and we think that it would be really good if we could allow these minors who are, 15, 16, 17 years old, working as waiters and waitresses, to be able to take a beer from the bar and deliver it to the table. They just got absolutely run through the shredder. The names that they got called over a simple, pretty straightforward, common sense bill that lots of restaurant owners in the area have asked for, they got absolutely run through the shredder. I assume something similar would happen if a bill came to more extend child labor laws. We tweaked those a little when I was in the legislature. I've seen them tweak them a little bit since then. And the politics of it is just unpleasant.
All right. So politics. That's what I'll tell him.
So tell Kenneth to run for office and then sponsor and pass that bill.
I'll let him know. I'll have him watch this part of the show when he gets home at midnight tonight from his next track meet.
Right.
So before we get into the Jarchow Mafia, apparently that's a big thing, and I don't know a ton about. I know just a little bit. I can't wait to find out more. But did you see last night? Jimmy Boy announced that he wasn't going to be seeking re-election after 10 years. He was one of your colleagues when you were in the assembly, right?
He was. I served with him. We came in at the same time. My 4 years in the legislature, he was there. He was awesome. He was so much fun, and he was a brave guy. We did some things that were pretty controversial. I remember we had Governor Walker at the time, so when we passed good, solid conservative legislation, we knew it would get signed into law. And we did some things like right to work reform and prevailing wage reform. And Jimmy Boy took a lot of heat, even from family members, and he still stood strong. He was a good guy, and we need more people like Jimmy Boy, I think, in state and local government. Just good, hardworking, common sense, small business types. He was awesome, and he'll be missed.
Well, and the next person I was going to ask about, of course, is Representative Gay Magnifici, who's watching. And good morning, Gay. So she has announced, this is a while ago, that she wasn't going to be seeking re-election. So those are two people in our area. Now, I don't know I haven't really figured out of our 6 counties that we cover, Barron, Burnett, Polk, Russ, Sawyer, and Washburn, where everybody now falls, like what districts it is. I think Chains Green is going to be like now, Spooners. It's weird. So she had announced that she wasn't running again. Is this good? Not that he's not running. Let me rephrase this. That it's important. Stay there, do your job, then let someone else put their spin on it. Or these are kind of like Jimmy Boy and Gay going, man, how about one more term? Do you call and say, come on, just one more term?
No, I think turnover is great. I hate the whole idea of career politicians. It drives me crazy. Jimmy Boy and Gay are both excellent examples of people who are not career politicians. They went there for a while, they sacrificed, they served, and now it's somebody else's term. I will miss both of them dearly. Gay is one of my dearest friends in the entire world. I think she's absolutely fantastic. I love her to death. But she's earned this. She ran an entire life career as a nurse, retired, and then was willing to serve her community, to go walk in parades and knock on doors, get yelled at by people, be hated by half the people. And she did it with honesty and integrity, and she was just fantastic. I'll miss her, but I love the idea of this citizen legislature and the turnover. We'll have some new blood in there. There's a guy that I particularly like that's running named Duke Tucker. He's the operations manager up at the telecom in Grantsburg. War veteran, hard worker, involved in the community, great guy. And he'll bring a whole different perspective than I brought, that Gay brought, that Eric Severson brought, that Mark Pettis brought. And that is what a citizen legislature should be.
Duke Tucker is the greatest name I've ever heard. I mean,
have you seen the signs? All they say is Duke for Assembly. It's so great.
It's brilliant. You have to run.
You have to. So mad that he stole his colors.
You have to run for office if your name is Duke Tucker. I'm just saying.
Right on.
And one more, because I just like hearing your thoughts on a lot of these individuals. Brad Schimmel, former Wisconsin Attorney General, he announced, a lot of people said way too early. He came on the show and actually explained why he would announce. This was back in, I think it was the last day of November, I think is when he was on. He's running for Supreme Court, and that was against Justice Bradley, a liberal who is, I think, currently longest tenured Supreme Court justice in Wisconsin. But that was kind of big news weekish ago, where she announced that she wasn't going to be seeking re-election. So all of a sudden now, Brad, it kind of looked like it's okay. I don't care how soon you announce. That's almost an unwinnable race. It just kind of is. Now, what do you think?
Well, it was going to be a tough race against an incumbent, although Brad had statewide name ID from running for AG twice. He's a very good campaigner. He's good on the stump. I think he's good with people. He's good. He's probably good raising some money. So I think he was going to be a formidable candidate either way. But now that there's not an incumbent, he's got a far better shot at this, I think. And, I hear rumblings that the liberal side may put up Chris Taylor, who I served in the assembly with. She's on the appeals court in Madison now. She is as far to the left. I mean, she is Stalin left. And so I think that Schimmel will have a great chance against her. She used to give floor speeches in the state assembly that were so outrageous that I think even the liberals in the state assembly cringed. So Schimmel will be able to use some of those floor speeches during the campaign to talk about what this person truly believes and whether we want her serving on the court. I think Schimmel, as former attorney general, former prosecutor, now a judge, will have a far better profile than what you'll see if Chris Taylor is actually the liberal side nominee for the court.
When you look around, whether it's that race or assembly races, just in the last couple of years, do you see more of the far to the right or very far to the left, more of those individuals actually running for things? And is that good? Is that would the Supreme Court race, for example, we'll just stay on that, would it be better for liberals to have someone that isn't quite as far to the left? Or no, this seems to be working in terms of winning elections?
I mean, it just depends on the office, right? The reason that they're in the minority, and even after the Republicans totally capitulated on the maps, I mean, it just made me sick to see how the Republicans did the map thing this year. I loved a lot of these guys, and I was so disappointed in how they let Tony Evers corner them and box them in and win. But even under these new maps, I think the Democrats are going to struggle because they insist on nominating people in rural conservative areas like we live in who are totally outside of the mainstream. And so as somebody that doesn't want them to get elected, I'm glad that they keep putting these people up. Now, in statewide elections, that's a different animal because now you throw in the Dane County and the Milwaukee County and a couple of the other more liberal areas of the state, and they seem to be able to still win. So in those instances, I sure would like if they would put up somebody more moderate, but if they're able to win, they're going to run somebody to the left and win with somebody in the left. And so far, at least statewide, they've had some success recently. So hopefully our side gets its act together and we start winning some of these statewide elections again.
Well, it sounds like we're getting dangerously close to talking about Jarchow Mafia, which we'll get to right after this question here from Stephanie. Can elected school board members vote to have fellow board members removed from the board? I'm assuming that question's for you because I have no idea.
I doubt it. I don't know. I don't know anything about school board law, but I doubt it because if you're elected, you're there. But there may be a removal procedure, with bad behavior or something like that. I don't know. But generally speaking, the voters have the final say in these things.
Got it. All right. Well, let's get to Jarchow Mafia. Well, actually, you know what? We'll get to that in 15 seconds after a word from Spooner Health.
Spooner Health, compassion is at the center of everything we do. It's rooted in who we are and why we're here. It unites us as providers, neighbors, and as a community. Learn more at spoonerhealth.com.
All righty. So Jarchow Mafia.
When do you do commercials? Really?
What? It has been a while since you've been on.
Commercials? Holy cow. I did not. I mean, it's like coming on CNN now.
Oh, wow. Sure. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. All right.
I guess not CNN. You don't want me to call you CNN, do you?
I don't really want to be compared to anybody, ideally. Jarchow Mafia. So here's what I says. Obviously, I'm in Washburn County. You're in Polk County. I know a few people that live there, and here's all I know. There was a mailer. There was either phone calls or a text. I don't know if it was what that entails, and it was about the county board. Which great job, by the way, in Polk County, actually having competitive races for county. I mean, they always should be competitive races. You should have just saying. Like, we can't give away board supervisor seats in Washburn County. I mean, I'm on the board for crying out loud. Now, talking about scraping the bottom of the barrel. Like, nobody else was running. Like, oh, fine. But apparently it was about the board race over there. And I think it was specifically just that. And I'm not kidding. That's about all I know. But they were really fired up. I don't know who they are. And I don't know why they're fired up. So for people who don't know anything about it, which sounds like me, what's going on or what happened?
So there was a half a dozen competitive board races this year, and we had a little group that raised a few bucks to try to support or oppose candidates in those half dozen seats. We sent out a couple of mailers, did a text message. Just a little group that we formed called Keep Polk County Rural. And we raised, it probably came out to a couple $1,000 per race or something like that. Wasn't a ton of money, but enough that you could get a little bit of a word out. And for whatever reason, some of my friends on the left are really kind of authoritarian lately with speech. They really don't like it if you say stuff that they don't like, and they want to always keep you from speaking. I'm a huge proponent of the First Amendment and being able to say what you want to say. And having more speech is better speech, and that makes a lot of sense to me, particularly when you're talking about elections. But they get a little bit worked up if you say things about the voting record of people who they support, which is what at least one of the mailers did. And so they had a conniption fit about it. Apparently, I don't know. I don't really read the local papers, so I didn't hear as much about it as other people have told me about it. But it, I have no idea whether what we did in this group helped elect or defeat some candidates. You like to think when you're involved in politics that maybe you're helping or whatever. But to me, and we've talked about this before, the very most important thing is having good candidates. And I actually yesterday I reached my hand into a light jacket that I hadn't wore since last fall, and I pulled out a piece of paper from a meeting that we had all the way last fall about which seats we thought would be important to have good candidates in, and some ideas about who we might talk to about running for those seats. So this isn't something that just happened yesterday. I've been intensely interested in the Polk County Board for the better part of a decade, and making sure that we have good, solid board members. And it doesn't always mean that they're Republicans or that I agree with them on everything. Local government should be about getting things done. This is where the rubber meets the road in local government, and doing these kind of weird social engineering things, to me, has no place in local government. Let's have good roads. Let's support law enforcement. Let's make sure that that we're doing those core functions of government, and leave the silliness aside for state government and national government. And that's what I and others who I kind of associate with look for when we're trying to find candidates. They're not always the most conservative or the most Republican, but I think they'll be good, solid people who won't create a bunch of controversy over silly social engineering. So we did that. We started a long time ago, helped find some candidates, I think, some really, really good candidates. And then we helped support them a little bit. And it turned out well this time. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose when you're involved in politics. And this time, at least our preferred candidates won.
So what exactly were they fired up about? Was it the messaging of it, or was it just simply the fact that a mailer was sent out, and maybe that's not normal? Again, we don't usually experience, I think we had one contested race for the board supervisors of our 21, one contested this election cycle. Maybe it's just because it's not normal? So what exactly was it?
Probably a little bit of both.
Okay.
Would be my guess. And the messaging they didn't like. I think I felt like what we talked about there was two postcards, one that talked clear just about the candidates we were supporting, and the other one talked about the candidate that we were opposing. But it didn't talk about anything personal. It simply talked about their policy record. Well, it was in colorful marketing-ish terms that I think they didn't like. And, too bad, so sad. Suck it up. Do your own group.
Just going to say, did they do one of these? Because that would have been the way to do it.
They can. If you don't like it, go out and get your own candidates and get your own group and support candidates that you support. I'm all for that. I mean, that is the essence of politics and the First Amendment, is fighting for the people that you believe would do a good job for representing you. And that's all that we did. And if they don't like it, I guess I don't care. Too bad.
Well, and you've experienced that too. You just kept finishing a race. When was that? A year? 2? Whatever it was. And there were things that were sent out about you. I think they even referenced one of the times you're on the show, which I'm like, hey, why is my picture in a negative ad against, or a net? I don't think they call them negative ads anymore. There's like a positive word for negative, which is weird, like a compare and contrast ad or something like that. Whatever.
Right.
So you've been a part of that.
Yeah.
So that seems like a much ado about nothing, but it isn't much ado about nothing. It was a big thing.
Apparently, to a few, I think it was a big thing to a few people, and there was apparently an individual who sent a letter out to some, who are Democrats or in the Democrat Party in the local county, who chastised the Democrat Party for not being more involved and getting beaten in these elections. And he said, and he phrased it colorfully, that the Jarchow Mafia beat you. And I guess that's where
well, somehow that is the buzzwords.
Well,
over the last 2 weeks, I've heard that a lot.
Your name goes on something, so I happen to be the treasurer of the group, and when you're the treasurer, it's your name on the campaign.
And people know you.
And
in
so
your name. So
they say, "Oh, it's you." Well, obviously it's not. It's not just me. We had a nice group of people who were willing to kick in some money to help this, and but whenever you put your name on it, you're going to be the one that gets beat up a little bit, and that's fine. I've been getting beat up for the better part of a decade, so is what it is.
yeah, how many of these candidates were you supporting? Was this group supporting?
There were six.
Six, and how many ended up winning?
5.
Well, obviously, like you said, they're probably good candidates. Otherwise, whatever. So I can't say well, then it worked. That's
right.
But at the same time, maybe it helped. 5 out of 6, pretty good. It'll be really interesting to see what's going to happen then next election cycle. This could start turning into a back and forth. This is going to be so much fun. Not living in the county of your county. This is going to be so much fun from a distance.
Right. Well, the one great thing about the people who are on the board now is we have a really good cross section of folks. They're going to, I think, govern really well, and they won't give really anybody either side any reason to go out and quote unquote throw the bums out. I think they're going to do a really good job of, again, the nuts and bolts of local government. The roads are going to be plowed, the roads are going to be fixed, we're going to support law enforcement, we're going to do those core functions really well, and kind of leave some of the silly stuff to the side, I think.
Well, you say that, but I think they kind of transition, whoever they are in this, because I've also been hearing some things over the last week or so, maybe week and a half, that there was something about a letter that was being sent, a letter to the editor somewhere, and who's publishing and who isn't, and they're going after then those news outlets for not public. Like it's kind of absurd, a little bit. But again, this is why it's entertaining from a distance for me.
But, I mean,
it's just crazy.
I'm a party to it, and it's entertaining for me. Sometimes
I wonder if they realize how much enjoyment you get from this.
I mean, if you write a letter to the editor trashing me and you think that my feelings are going to be hurt, I've had my name on a ballot a half a dozen times or something like that. There's nothing that they can say about me that hasn't already been said. So, just bring it on. And frankly, at this point in my life, the more that they say about me, the better it is.
That's what I mean. Like every time I hear
an old adage that says there's no bad press or something like that. All press is good press.
Yes, every time I hear someone saying, "Well, you're friend Adam," because I've been friends with you for a long time. They're going to say this about him, and they're saying this, and I start laughing. I'm like, do they understand? Could you please pass along? He gets a lot of enjoyment out of this. I don't know if he'll admit it or not, but trust me, he's laughing right now. I guarantee you.
I have had a fair bit of laughter at some of the silliness here, and it's funny. I've called the few weeks before an election silly season for years because people get all worked up and they say silly stuff like, "Oh my gosh, you're going to lose. There's not a yard sign out in this part of the town." Just take a breath. It's going to be okay. "Oh, did you hear what this guy said on social media about that guy?" Well, 4 people saw it. It's going to be okay. Relax. Just chill out. But it's silly season and everybody gets worked up right before an election. And apparently now, right after an election too. So silly season runs from the 2 weeks before an election to the 2 weeks after an election.
No, it's been extended. Just in Polk County, though. Which is fine. You guys can keep it over there. Right. Hey, you following any of the Donald Trump trial? Or what's going on there? Are you following any of that?
Not real closely, a little bit. I have to say that these cases, for the most part, seem to me to be a bunch of contrived baloney. I actually read a really smart editorial about this particular trial. And this one, as people, if they're paying attention, has to do, at least tangentially, with the Stormy Daniels hush money thing that they call it. And somehow the district attorney in Manhattan has decided that Trump violated some campaign finance law by not disclosing the payment that went to his attorney that ultimately flowed through the attorney's trust account to Stormy Daniels or something like that. It's pure absurdity how he is trying to bootstrap this on, and only in a liberal place like Manhattan would he have any chance of convicting President Trump. It's a total sham, in my opinion, and it's actually a black eye on the justice system. we should be able to have politicians who we disagree with, even vehemently, without trying to put them in prison. That to me is banana republic stuff. It is the thing that dictators do, and we need to stop it. Republicans need to not do that against Democrats, and Democrats need to not do that against Republicans. We need to win and lose at the ballot box and leave it there.
So it's just over the campaign aspect. So I saw a little bit of it this morning on the news when it was just in the background. It's talking about yesterday's, the results of the first day. Mm-hmm. And I guess I didn't realize that something actually started, because at this point, anything with Trump, it's just noise. Like, I don't hear anything anymore because his name is used all the time and he has to court for this, but is he going to court? Like, I don't even know what any of this stuff is. I don't know anybody that really actually follows all of it. Maybe we should, but there's just so much of it, which is weird to say, but there's so much of it that I don't know what's going on. So this is the first one. I'm like, oh, wait, so it's actually happening right now. Like, there is something. So I was trying to actually figure out, so what is this about? I know about Stormy Daniels, and he allegedly, which whatever, had this affair or something with her, then gave some money to say, I don't want this to be a scandal. I'm not kidding. I was actually thinking, but where was the crime there? Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to, I hope I sound like a Trumper. I'm not, I swear. It was just literally going, and if that is a crime, okay. I didn't know it was, a federal case, but it wasn't just that. It was the campaign part, you're saying.
Yeah, that's what they're bootstrapping it into is an idea that this payment was meant to help the 2016 campaign, and it wasn't properly reported. Oh. And to me, it is a total abuse of the justice system. And again, the problem with that kind of stuff in the big sense is it makes everybody cynical, even more cynical about the justice system. And that, to me, all that's going on here is them trying to find a way to paint the word felon, convicted felon, right, on Trump so they can use it in TV ads in the fall. And that is an absolute abuse of the justice system. Remember, prosecutors aren't there necessarily to win. Prosecutors are there to do justice. And I can't conceive for the life of me how this is, quote unquote, doing justice. It's a total sham.
We have a question here from Tiffany. Hey guys, I'm late. So who is Adam? And what are some positive things he has done and believes and would love to change in our small communities? There you go. You're up.
I'm nobody. I'm just a small business owner, a dad, husband, and coach my kids' softball team, and have been very involved in the community, served in the legislature, been on the fire department, served on the economic development committee. My wife and I own small businesses that tend to raise a lot of money for veterans groups, and she's into animals. So she raises money for like the Humane Society, the local Humane Society, snowmobile club. I'm a big snowmobiler. And so, both of us are very involved in the community and have been over the years. Although I will say having kids at this age tempers that a little bit, because I seem to be quite busy running around chasing kids after this practice and that practice and going to this play practice and this sports practice. And it's a full-time job just chasing kids around, I think. Yeah.
Are you happy with where you are right now? Is there any politics in the future again, or is it, no, I think I'm finished with all that in terms of running for something again. We were talking about, of course, your passion for the local board, or your county board. Is there thoughts about doing that? Or I don't want to actually be in the room anymore. I just want to help put people in the room, but I don't want to be in there anymore.
Yeah, no, I have no political ambition at all anymore. I thought when I retired from the state assembly that I was done, and kind of left the door open, and I shouldn't have done that. Made one more campaign, and that was the most miserable 6 months of my life, and I will never do anything like that again. So.
I remember, it's funny, I remember we were doing that Politically Speaking show, and we had to even stop doing that, but I think it started with you. There was somebody, I can't remember his name now. Well, no, I can't remember his name, but was going to be running for Attorney General, and then he dropped out for various reasons. And I think you had just floated around like, all right, well, we need to find someone else. And if not, like, I'll even do it. And it's, wait, now what? Adam said he would do it. It's like, no, I'll put my name on the ballot just so we have, a conservative or Republican that's running. But, I don't want to do it, but I will. And it seemed like everyone then just said, oh, never mind, Adam's doing it. because nobody else stepped up.
In a life full of bad ideas and mistakes, that was one of the worst.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, that's all I had written down. Hey, I have a quick question. So at 10 o'clock, in an hour, I'm going to have my first board supervisor meeting. So I don't know, get sworn in at 10 o'clock. Probably will resign at 10:01 because I don't want to be part of any group that would have me for a member. No, I'll probably give it a while, see how it goes. But it's interesting. The first thing we have to do is vote on a board chair, the first vice chair, and a second vice chair. I know like six of my peers, six of my colleagues, six other board. So that's kind of weird, right? As soon as you're elected, okay, pick who's going to be in the leadership. I don't know any of you.
Well, you know Wilson. Is he going to stay?
Dave Wilson. Oh, yeah, he's the current board chair. Yeah, and honestly, I'm like, well, I think I'll just vote for whoever's currently doing it.
Just vote against him.
Just vote against him.
You should run against him. Call up Wilson and tell him, yeah, I decided I'm going to run for chair, dude.
Oh, my goodness. See, now, had I thought of that 3 weeks ago, I could have gotten the Jarchow Mafia.
Come on.
Oh, I'm never forgetting that. That's fantastic. Any advice that you would give me going into this? Because I joke around a lot about it. I really do. And I've said before, I don't want it. But I'm going to take it very seriously. Don't kid yourself. But what advice would you give?
The same advice I give anybody who gets elected to any position is make sure that don't become a rubber stamp for the quote unquote bureaucracy or staff. It's very easy in any elected position to drink the Kool-Aid and just go along to get along. That's not your job. Sometimes you're going to, go against the grain a little bit. And it doesn't mean you have to be mean or adversarial or pick on people. But when staff presents something to you, don't just buy it hook, line, and sinker. Do some background research. Do we really need that new facility? Do we really need that money? And the reason that I say that is because at the end of the day, most of the people who are hired and work in government are pretty good people. But ultimately, they're going to have their idea of the way they want to do things in their small sphere. Like, I want to do this in this little area and it's going to cost X. But they don't necessarily have the big picture view that you have to have as a board member of the total impact on the taxpayers, the total impact on the community. If we fund this, are we not able to fund X, or do we have to raise taxes? And I think just be really careful about how much you buy what they're selling. I always look behind them. And it's not to say that they're lying, but they're certainly going to paint things in a way that is most beneficial to getting something done that they want to get done. And your job is to be a check on that and not a rubber stamp.
Sure. That's good advice. Two of our favorite people, at least two of my favorite people they put in. This is when you were explaining yourself. Adam is a big deal. And
not as big as Sheriff Johnson. I will never be as big a deal as Sheriff Johnson.
And a pretty good guy to boot. I haven't seen Pete in a while, for Pete's sake. And then Annette. Oh, I just saw her on
Fitzy on someday and have those guys chat. Pete could tell Fitzy all about how wonderful it is to not be a sheriff, right?
Exactly. And Annette, who is just an absolute sweetheart. Adam is a constitutional-driven citizen, legislator, and freedom fighter. I'll put that back up. He fights for Americans, Wisconsin, to make life better for everyone. He does things right. Very nice, Annette. Do you agree with that, Adam?
Nice. No, I don't agree with that.
I know it.
Especially, he does the right thing always.
Yeah, we just got finished talking about an attorney general's race. No.
Yeah, every once in a while.
Not every time. All right. Well, we're almost up against our time. What else do you want to talk about that we didn't get a chance to talk about?
What do you want to talk about? I don't know. You have go to a good restaurant lately? Anything good like that?
No, I don't take Jarchow out on date. I don't date married women. So that's my excuse.
Is that what you tell her? So you don't do the right thing always.
See? Yep. Yeah. No, I haven't. No.
I mean, it's going to be an interesting year, right? So we have all of these local races where we're going to have new people running for state legislative seats. We're going to have a rematch between Biden and Trump. We're going to have Tammy Baldwin running against probably her most serious opponent in a very long time. Assuming Eric Hovde funds the race the way that he's talking about funding it, I think that's going to be a really competitive race.
Yeah, hold on. Let's not go any further there. I forgot about that one. So that was kind of like the Justice Bradley and Brad Schimmel. It seemed like it's kind of an unwinnable seat for a conservative or a Republican. Tammy Baldwin has kind of been put in that same spot, or that's what the most people would say about that race. Very secure in that spot. And it was kind of, I think Congressman Tom Tiffany was even looking at possibly running, or people wanted him to run for that or to consider it. And then when nobody did, it kind of was quiet. And then it's like, who's this Eric Hodvie? It's like Favre, is it? How do you pronounce it? And who is this guy? I'm like, whatever. He's like a sacrificial lamb. This is anything. But it seems like he's not sucking in terms of how it's going, which I was a little surprised. Again, I still don't know much. I think he's actually going to be on the show on May 23rd, if I recall. I don't know anything about him, so I can't wait to find out about him. So he's actually doing well-ish in that race. And it's going to make it potentially a competitive race.
Tammy Baldwin is formidable. She's a double-edged sword politically because she doesn't do anything, which means she doesn't do anything, but she also doesn't really make people angry, right? So she's a tough nut to crack. She's a tough one to beat, and I'm not saying that he's going to win, but I think he's a good candidate who will have the funding necessary to put on a competitive race. And in a year when Wisconsin is probably going to decide its presidential preference by a few thousand votes, Hovde certainly has a shot. And it looks to me from a long way away that he's running a pretty good campaign thus far. So I think that'll be really interesting.
And if the election were held today, Trump, Biden?
I think today Trump wins, at least. I don't know, but the polling that I see, we all look at these national polls, and Trump is slightly leading in the national polls, but the important ones are the state-by-state polls. And he is leading in virtually every one of the battleground states, even the states that he lost, Georgia, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, or he's very close in those states. It depends on the poll, but I think I'd bet on Trump, and I think the betting markets actually are betting on Trump at least slightly right now. So it'll be interesting.
Is there any chance that he's not going to be able to be on the ballot?
None that I know of. I mean, I think there's a chance that this case in Manhattan, he ends up being convicted, and he's going to have to deal with that conviction as he runs for president, which will be unique in American history. But I think the vast majority of Americans will see through that nonsense and see that it was totally politically motivated and a miscarriage of justice. But I don't know. I mean, how does it look in October if every single pro-Biden TV ad calls Trump a convicted felon? Does that shave off just enough in some of these battleground states that he can't win? I don't know, but I think that's certainly their strategy.
Yeah, it's weird. You really would think. I feel like we're in an episode of Twilight Zone. Because if 10 years ago I told you that a person that is running for president has, and then you listed all the things that he's been accused of, you'd be like, well, obviously that person wouldn't run. But he is, and it seems to be going well. It's bizarre. I've never seen anything like it.
Well, I mean, I think when people now have a great comparison. You can compare where you were as a family and a small business person in the 4 years that Trump was president to where we are now. And I can tell you what I would do. I would go back to the 4 years when Trump was president. We weren't at war. We weren't on the brink of literally on the brink of another world war with Iran sending missiles into Israel. We didn't have record inflation. I mean, just think about how much it costs to friggin' eat dinner now.
Oh, I know. Drusha reminds me all the time.
Why would I stick with this guy who has made it so expensive just to live a normal, everyday, middle-class American life when I could go back to the guy who, said some things that I didn't really like, and he's kind of crass, but the economy was pretty good. My food prices didn't skyrocket every day, and we weren't at war. I mean, seems like a no-brainer to me.
So what you're saying is how much would an ad like that, in that event, a convicted felon, to run those, which they absolutely should, how much does that actually move the needle in terms of are people going to actually put that front and center, or are they going to, yes, I understand that, but, man, it's hard out there right now.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what people do.
It will be really interesting. I think remember when Clinton ran for office and James Carville, his chief advisor, said the economy stupid?
Yeah.
He was right then.
Yes.
And I think he's still right. I think Americans still kind of look at these pocketbook issues first and foremost. And I think they're going to look at the pocketbook issues. They're going to look at the economy. They're going to look at taxes. They're going to look at inflation and say, I don't know what this guy is doing, but it's not working. And I'm going to go back to the other guy.
Yep. We have our weather forecast from our official weatherman, Dirk Miller. Today and tomorrow, showers and storms. Much of the area should see around an inch by tomorrow night. Winds 20-25 with gusts up to 40. Eesh. Highs today, 55 to 60. Hey, very nice day today. And then part 2 is under partly cloudy skies. We could see a few afternoon showers Thursday, Friday. Highs start off in the lower to mid 50s, but cool in the middle 40s to 50. Highs remain 40s to around 50. Oh, you know what? Hey, I'll take that. That's a nice spring. That's nice.
I'll take 60 and sunny.
Yeah, I know. When are you going down to Florida next? You used to go down there more.
Yeah, I don't have anything on the agenda for the near future. I don't go in the summer. It's too hot there in the summer.
Oh, anybody goes to Florida. What a weird state.
I go there to hog hunt and alligator hunt. It's awesome.
All right, hunting. That's right. All right, so what do you have coming up this week? It's Thursday today. What are your plans this weekend?
Well, I'm a boring middle-class taxpayer, so I will be going to work every day and doing nothing overly exciting. I think my son they've been doing this play practice in school, and I think they do that on Thursday and Friday, so I'm sure I'll be at a school play at some point this week. Yeah. Nothing too exciting. How about you? Anything exciting?
Well, I just realized it's Tuesday, not Thursday. I'm so used to having Fitzy on for Tuesdays and other people's Thursdays. So, boy, now that really screwed up my schedule. I don't know. I should probably look now.
You got like 3 days left to work, huh?
2 days off here. Whoops. Yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, after this, I'll shut down and pack up some stuff and head down to our first board meeting. Looking forward to that. And, yeah, I don't know. I guess we could assign committees, too.
Nice.
Yeah, are they?
Yeah, you'll do well. The committee process is good. People hate the committee process, and I sometimes didn't like it when I was on committees in the legislature, and I've been on other committees. But it's a good way to really delve into the issues of whatever is being proposed and talked about, and you develop a specific expertise in certain areas. So get on things that you have some interest and experience in. I think you'll do great. You're going to be great. You're going to be a great county board member. I have no doubt.
Stop. Well, I'm actually looking forward to the committees more than the board meetings. Because, 21 people in a room. Good Lord. As long as it's not like when you're in school or at the end of a business meeting and they're like, okay, that's about finished. We're going to finish up early. Anyone have any questions? And there's always that one person.
There's always the one.
So it talks for half an hour and it's like, shut up. Let's go home.
Well, the problem in politics is when the one says something, they tick off somebody else on the other side. And now we're in a debate for 2 hours. So just be quiet and vote. Just vote.
Thanks, Adam, for coming on. It's always fun to have you on.
Thanks, dude.
For Driver.com, I'm Ben Dryden, and you've been watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the inside and on the outside of your home or business. Like Fitzy and I, they believe it's the little things that make a big difference. Give them a call today. See what they can do for you. The number is right there on the screen, 715-520-2271. Special thank you to Adam Jarchow for jumping on and joining us for a chat this morning, who's filling in for Fitzy. Speaking of Sheriff Fitzgerald, he'll be back next week for our latest episode of Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy. So until then, thank you for watching, and as always, have a blessed day.